Hello everybody, this is Lily here. Today is May 5th and today I'm going to continue with matrix mechanics. After last video I did about matrix mechanics, I was asked a lot about talking a little bit more about symbols and the manipulation of symbols, and how, because I mentioned something that how this symbol was turned into this, and how this is a matrix symbol and this is a Earth timeline symbol, and how that was manipulated through math and turned into a matrix, cyclical time, and also a harvesting agenda. So I'm going to talk about this, how this became this. I'm going to go into a little bit details about the symbology. So what I want to start with is, I think I'm going to go ahead and start with actually going into a little bit more what is this symbol and how, you know, where did it come from and all of that stuff. So we might have seen, so okay, so this is an Earth timeline symbols. These symbols are indication, or you know, of bioregenesis. They are just an indication, a path of return. So with these symbols, this is a feminine side of the symbol, and this is the masculine. Okay. So basically, if you take this and look at it from the top, because it has sort of like a circle here, and this is what it equals to the balanced symbol as an indication of Earth's timeline. Okay, it's the infinity symbol that before it got hijacked and turned into number 8. This infinity symbol, when you look at this from the top, okay, and I'm going to give you an example. You guys, you know, all probably seen an hourglass of the time with the sand thing in it. That is actually a symbol, this symbol right here. And when you look at this from the top, what you're going to see is this 0 point right here. This is, from the top, this is what you get. Okay? So this is a symbol of external internalizing. External internalizing through time. Just like in that hourglass, it goes through here. Right on the middle here is the human body. Through that human body in time, on the Earth timeline, you bring external into internal. Just like the sand follows through time, and external existence, light existence, becoming internal source creation. That's the biogenesis planet sort of way of existing, or existing on a biogenesis or a healing planet, or rehab planet, as I was calling it before. So this is a feminine side, which is looking from the top, and then the energy sort of spirals down, and then through time heals, and then it expands into internal. Okay? So through our most fragmented way of being, soul is taking a path of bioregenesis. Okay? So these symbols, I hope it makes sense. This is just an indication. They don't sort of do anything, you know. Before we had a matrix time loop inserted. This is, and you might find these symbols in a very ancient drawings and things like that. You may find this. Okay, you sometimes will find that that spiral that goes down, okay? Because this is the energy just coming down in the spiral here, and through a human, incarnating into a human body. Human body is what connects or gives you that connection to internal source creation. And this, through the body, you can bioregenerate or heal your soul, or take a path return back to source. Okay? All of this was turned into this. All right. This is an astral timeline, matrix timeline. Once the matrix timeline was inserted, so this is what happens is here. This is masculine and feminine. How does this gets created from this? From this. All right. What happens is just like with my matrix mechanics video, I went into a lot of details about the flipping of time and overlaying the time over and reverse polarizing our existence. So what happened is there's an overlay in frequency. So with the mathematicals, with the math, science, and this is, we're talking about, creator gods that do that, So what they do is they overlay, separate this right on the middle, and then overlay the frequency, okay? Overlay the existence, and this creates that cyclical time. It's almost like for the harvesting path, because this is done for the harvesting path. Where is that, my little paper? Okay, I can't find it right now, but here it is. I'm going to show you this, okay? Again, I'm sorry if you can't see it that well. But if you remember when I went back and I said Earth produces the Earthlings, and then 96.7% of incarnates on the planet are actually enter into harvesting path. Or I also call that a self-sacrificing path, which meaning it's feeding light existence. It's feeding extended light existence. This is what creator gods want, because they want to extend their existence in light. Okay? So when we have only 10% out of this 96.7% of souls that come in, only 10% went into this path. Okay? The rest went into the other path. And this is the harvesting organic quanta path. And all of this extreme duality that is created through manipulating frequency. Okay? It creates the opposite, extreme polarity. And so all of these people, that positive versus negative, light versus dark, angel versus demon, light versus darkness, lords of darkness, positive aliens versus negative aliens, Christic path versus fallen path, Christ consciousness versus Antichrist, God, devil, and on and on and on. All of that is a harvesting path, because it is relying on friction that is created by overlaying this to the light existence is overlaid over internal source organic creation. Okay? And this is how the light can suck or take or capture This is why it's called the Merkaba field. It's called vehicle, because it transports organic frequency into light existence. So all of this is created. It's almost like take that hourglass and sort of, how do you get the sand from the bottom glass to a top back? You got to flip it again, you know? And this is sort of how the time matrix loop, time loop works, by bending space and time. Okay, we're talking about creator gods here. I'm going to talk very simply about things, because it is, on the end, is very simple. And you know, we've seen the symbols everywhere, and they are the most telling symbols of the harvesting path. But yet we don't understand them, because the most valuable things are hidden right in front of our eyes. Right in front of our eyes. We don't need to go too deep into rabbit holes to see what the symbols are. This is a time matrix loop. It is a matrix prison. And it's right there in front of our eyes. I think we see the symbols quite often because they're sort of hidden in a lot of other symbols. This is the most simple ones. Okay? Let me... Okay. I was going to show you why it is extreme. It is reverse polarized. It's because if you know anything about Merkaba spin, and in here, I'm sorry if it is a really small one. I'm going to do this. Okay, how about that? A little bit better? Sorry, my camera is kind of blurry. But anyway, one side of the Merkaba will be spinning one direction, and the other side will be spinning the other direction. When you put those two together, when you overlay them in here, this is what you get. Frequency flowing into a different directions. All right? And as I'm going to pull this, and I'm sorry this is, but I meant to remake this, but sorry, I didn't have time. So basically, the Merkaba field is the spinning of the timeline, of the time loop. And I went into this in the matrix mechanics first video about the time loop, how it gets constantly flipped back and forth. But what we've got here is we've got sort of that hourglass overlay over each other, so there is access to that organic frequency that Earth is providing through your body. Okay? There is also planet that has it, but I'm going to talk about personal one for now. So this is the spin, and inside there is going to be two different ways of frequency, energy that's going to spin, creating that friction. That friction is what feeds astral timeline. That's what it feeds. That friction is just like you put two sticks together, and when you rub them, that creates energy from the friction. The friction creates energy. So you take that two energies and friction, it creates energy, and it feeds. So this friction inside here creates energy, and that what happens through this field of, like a lot of people do protection. They do this Merkaba field as protection, But what it does is actually, this is your enlightenment, this is your ascension, right? Ascension is grabbing that friction energy and sending it to feed astral timelines. That's what it does. This also equals this, but this, there's a lot of secondary symbols to this. I've chose to just put one in here because it's a circle, it's a square in the circle. That's sort of the balanced matrix system right here. And then we have a lot of that, then it turns into octagon and all of that stuff, and then it turns into pyramids, sort of. And so your energy is kind of pyramids, and pyramids have the most angles, and the more angles you have, the more energy you can trap. So the energy, the feminine energy, gets trapped through angles. And then the Merkaba field is sending that up into astral levels, okay? So this is going to be hard for some people to accept, but these two symbols are locking you in the matrix system. They're locking you in the self-sacrifice harvesting organic quanta path. And that's just it. No matter how much you like it or you don't like it, that's the truth of it. That's what it does. So now, for all of you guys that follow all kinds of spiritual teachings and ascension teachings, you will now understand why they use a lot of this Merkaba field. Because also, this is a positive and negative. If we know that, you know, a symbol for a positive and negative is positive is line, and negative is circle. That's also feminine, masculine, and feminine. Okay. And our astral levels is masculine. Okay, because you remember how that goes, right? That goes positive, and that's negative. That to send the energy that grabs, the organic energy that it grabs, you got to use the masculine symbol. That's why the Merkaba field, because only masculine symbol will send it to astral levels. So what's going on with that? Only through Merkaba field, you're actually sending your organic quanta into astral levels. Okay? So now, back to all of the spiritual teachings and ascension and all of that stuff. They're harvesting. They're harvesting teachings. I know it's going to be harsh and it's going to be hard to understand for a lot of people, but I hope for most of you guys that will watch this video, you already seen some of my other stuff, and I mean, it's pretty obvious what's going on here. You know, you can put any kind of spin on it, or you can try to sort of snake your way out of it. It's just too obvious that it is a harvesting tool. Okay? It is a harvesting tool. Speaking on Merkaba field, you know, if we know a little bit of the Bible, we know that how in the Bible, God gives responsibility for sacrifice to a certain races. And that also, through sacrifice, this gets harvested. The energy, the earth energy, the organic energy gets harvested through sacrifice. And so in the Bible, it talks about a specific race that are responsible for a sacrifice. That race has this symbol on their flag. And just a little side note, not long ago, we had another race that had a spiritual symbol on it. And these are the only two races and countries on the planet that do have a spiritual symbol on their flag. So think about the other one. It happened in late 1930s. And that swastika symbol is also a spiritual symbol. And that's something else that I might go into it. I'm going to keep today to just Merkaba field and yin yang. Okay. I've read this from one spiritual, very popular website about ascension. And when they said about Merkaba, what Merkaba is, and this is, and I quote, Merkaba is the merge of the hourglass becomes the Star of David with the spiraling frequency of ascension. It is a body of light. This is an extended light reality feeding machine. This is also for all the people that activate Merkaba or go through any ascension teachings or any teachings that will have any symbols of this. You know, some, overlay the symbol over symbol over symbol, like Ashayana Dean, she overlays that. I mean, she embeds that into every cell of your body, this harvesting symbol. So whatever version people use that's a harvesting path. It always is. It always is. Okay. So I wanted to also show you a little bit of this, how this is the only one I could find that sort of puts it together on Merkaba and this. Hopefully that we can see how the feminine and masculine come together here in this matrix system symbol. So this is your matrix system symbol and the Fibonacci sequence. So the Fibonacci sequence is the spiral of time, and that's also another sort of subject that I need to go into, and maybe it's going to be next, is the spirals, the two different spirals and what they mean and all of that stuff. So I'll go into that some other time. There is also this one that I wanted to show also, because this is also this this symbol here with the man. That also has to do with the matrix system and the matrix prison. So that's a matrix prison. Okay. So I know it's hard for people to sort of realize that they've been used and abused, and then we've been locked in this matrix system for a long time. We've been in a couple of loops right now, and right now we are sort of in that time frame where they're trying to flip the time again, and so we can go for another cycle, which would be a positive cycle of this time matrix. And like I said before, most 99% of any spiritual teachings out there will be teaching ascension, and will be teaching that positive time loop, and will be teaching how to stay in the matrix. Because anything that has to do with enlightenment is also part of the feeding light. And again, I'm going to repeat it. Anybody and whoever is going to use this symbol, you know it is a harvesting symbol. It's a harvesting path. So now, since we it's harvesting path, and it's done through mind control And so all the also pineal gland, all the mental body work for, you know, for activating any kind of spiritual codes within you through your mental body will harvest your organic frequency. And any savior programs, and I mean any savior programs, they're bonding you. And so when you do any kind of ascension activations or Merkaba field activation or pineal gland activation, you're bonding your personal blueprint, your personal, you bonding your body and your soul and your spirit to a matrix timeline. So the reason I want to go into that, because if you know, and give a little bit more sort of explanation why this is all matrix. So those of us that's done any of those bonding to the matrix system and sort of enslaving ourselves, that we should, with this realizations, when you see what's going on, and through your pure intent, powered by your spirit and by the spirit of this planet, all of that, and you might have done it, I've done activations in the past that included Merkaba field. You know, so I had to undo. And all you need to undo that is your pure intent. What you want to do is you want to, if you need an indication or if you need a symbol, if you still would like symbols, these are your symbols, okay? Because this is the Earth timeline symbols, and we are back on Earth timeline right now. So this is where we are. This will not harvest you or anything, because they're just indicating what path are you on, or keep you sort of focused on where you need to be. When you even look at this, and then when you look at this too, use your body to give you the signals. This is also for those of you guys that want to sort of test what signals your body gives you when you're looking at organic stuff versus matrix prison. So what you can do is you look at this, and then you feel within your body how it feels, and then look at this, and then same thing, feel that, you know, feel the symbols, feel them, and then you have to understand that your body will give you a different feeling for this than this. Okay? So that's just more of a simple yet a little bit more detailed way of you know, explaining how the Merkaba field and why is the Merkaba field a matrix prison symbol. So I hope this answers that question and makes it a lot easier to understand why and how and when. So unless there's more questions about that, I think, you know, we can move through symbols and sort of decode them and figure it out what are the Earth timeline symbols and what are matrix timeline symbols. So thank you guys for listening, and until next time, I love you all. Talk to you soon.